Okay, so I've just started re-recording for the second segment of today's webinar, and thanks everyone again who is joining us live, and hello to everyone who is watching this replay video. We're excited to have our Finish First and See College Spotlight today. We're going to highlight Catawba Valley Community College in Hickory, North Carolina. They'll share information with us about their work with the FFNC program. And so we're joined by Laura Montgomery, who is Student Records Technician, and John Gibbs, who is the Coordinator of Student Access and Development and Success. So they will have a space for questions at the end of their segment, but again, if at any point you have any questions for them or any questions for us about the first segment or anything in general, then please do tap it in the chat box. Now, once they're finished, I'll come back to close out today's webinar. And after the webinar, the Finish First and See team will stick around in case anyone has any questions for us about anything at all. So with that, I'll hand it over to you, Laura and John.
Thank you, Layla. John, are you on?
I'm with you.
Good. Okay, great. Hello, everyone. I'm Laura Montgomery. I work in student records at Catawba Valley Community College. I've been there for, I've been in student records for about a year and at Catawba Valley for about 2 years. John, did you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm John Gibbs. I've been with the college for 7 years. 4 of those have been up in the student records, student services department. The rest of that time was spent down at the testing center.
Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We've got a little bit of a display for you all while I run through. Let's see. It'll take just a moment. Okay, so a little bit of background information just to start off with Catawba Valley Community College. We're about an hour and 15 minutes between Boone, North Carolina, and an hour and 15 minutes away from Charlotte, so kind of just nestled right in between there. Hickory is known as the, well, was known as the furniture capital in North Carolina, and we do have a lot of booming business in that city. We've actually got a program out of our college that helps students who are interested in the furniture trade. So we have that program as well for them. Let me go ahead and do the slides here. So back to the presentation, it's presented by Kelly Plumley is the Student Records Director, and she helped compile all the information. John Gibbs, as he stated, and then myself. Just a little background information again on CVCC. It's part of the K64 initiative that directly links our students and graduates with a world of opportunities through local businesses, community partners, Catawba County Schools, Hickory Public Schools, Newton Conover City Schools, Catawba County Government, the Catawba Economic Development Corporation, Catawba County Chamber, and it prepares them for viable and sustainable careers during their lifetime. So as far as us using the Finish First software, we started out utilizing the Finish First software in 2018. We run the software at the end of each semester to identify new completers for that term and near completers for the advising staff and registration purposes for the upcoming term. The Finish First team consists at CVCC of 3 staff members from student records, being Kelly, John, and myself, our admissions staff, and our advising center staff. The student record staff, what we'll do is we'll compile transcript information once we've run the software, and we review the new completers list to identify students who have completed any degrees, certificates, or diplomas. We'll look to ensure that the students have not completed the higher level degree of what they've been identified as completing. So for example, if we have a student that says they have earned a certificate in a certain program, but if we go back and look and see that they've already earned the diploma there, then we don't want to necessarily reach out and certificate. We work with admissions to open completed programs of study. We run the evals as documentation showing completion of the specific degree, diploma, or certificate. We review the student record and eval for any perks, the 2.0 GPA threshold, and the 25% residency rule to make sure that they have everything that they need, and including their high school transcript. Once we're certain there aren't any issues, we process the graduate and colleague. John normally handles that. And then we notify the student via email. Kelly will send out an email to those students and let them know of their successful completion. In the email, we ask if they would like to obtain a copy of the diploma, certificate, or degree, and we provide them with instructions on how to do so. Once we've sent that out, some students will email us back or they'll call us back, and what we do is we track that information for the students who want to obtain their degree or diploma, and then we process it and mail them generally in batch. So student record staff will also send the near completer list, which for us is, we generally say about 75% or more of the degree or certificate has been completed. We have part-time advising center staff reach out to them for the certificate or degree, whatever they've come close to completing, and they encourage registration in the classes to complete the new program option, and also explain how coursework may or may not correlate to their current program of study. We've found that business administration and accounting are pretty closely related. So, for example, a BA student might earn an accounting certificate and vice versa through the Finish First software. Our advising center staff will also notify the students about how to open the new program of study if they're interested, and how to apply for graduation in the future for said program. It's really important, we always let the student know that the new program does not replace their current program, which is sometimes what they may think, but we just have to let them know it's completely separate, but it's part of stackable credentials that will help them later on in whatever career or job they're trying for. Admission staff have assisted in both the review of the new and near completers list if we're running short on time before reporting deadlines. However, typically they complete program update forms to open programs for students that have been identified by the Finish First software. And John, you can take it from here.
All right. Thank you, Laura. So the workflow has been several different workflows over the last 2 years. And that's not necessarily because of Dr. Wong's program. It's because that our graduation process has also been in flux for the last 2 years. So basically, the process is after we have graduated all people that have applied for graduation, then we'll run the software to go ahead and identify those that are completers and are non-completers. And again, like Laura said, so student records will handle the completers. We do all of that in-house. We have an advising center that does not involve faculty. So our advising center people will send them that list. They'll reach out to those near completers and go ahead and let them know, you're just this far away from completing. These are the classes that you need to register for in order to get this. If you're interested, we always check for the residency rule. We always check for any perks or anything like that. So the reason why that the workflow is in flux now is because we are looking to change our graduation process where students will apply for graduation through student planning. And the, as most of you will remember, it's the send out the word that you're ready to graduate, and then you either come to the business office and pay, manual sheet, the whole bit. So we're going to be test driving for the spring 2021 term students to go ahead and apply for graduation through their through their student planning feature. So we're not quite sure how that's going to look as of yet. Within Dr. Wong's program, you can identify near completers just for the term that you're identifying completers, but very soon we're going to start running it for future terms. And so that way that will give us an expanded list and reach out to even more people that may be currently enrolled as well, to identify and let those people know, hey, you're pretty close to graduation. The notable impacts on that, at the very beginning, there was a tremendous amount of confusion. You know, we would send out emails that would tell someone, hey, you know what, you're ready to graduate out of a C code or a D code. And they said, well, I'm not in those codes. I'm in the A code. So it was a process to get the wording down correctly, so that we presented a product that was easy for the student to understand. Yes, we understand that you're in the A code, but the work that you've done so far has brought you to the point to where that you are earning a certificate. So our school is broken up into 3 categories, and for lack of a better term, the School of Business and Industry, that's what it used to be called for many years. I can't tell you what it's called now, forgot. But those that are in the accounting and all of those business degrees, they have very much pushed over the last couple of years for stackable credentials. So if the student is in the A code, then they want those students to be graduated out of the C code or the D code if they meet those requirements, because that just looks good on a resume, that looks good on a transcript, and that's what most of the employers in Catawba County are looking at. And as far as we're concerned, we're wanting to give them students that are ready to go straight out of the blocks to go ahead and start in their vocation. You know, yes, it's important to have the associate's degree, but they also want to know, are you certified in all of these different areas? So it just enhances the student's employability from that part, from going forward. So again, it's worked really well as far as over time. We've gotten a lot of good responses from the students. There's very little confusion about it now. We've gotten the terminology down to where that students aren't quite so confused about why that we're sending them an application to apply for a certificate program or a degree program whenever they're in the associate's program. We're also in the process of trying to get our faculty and department heads to align their coursework, which is, I'm sure that y'all will understand, sometimes a little bit difficult. So that if we can teach courses in a particular discipline in a rotation, and a pretty set rotation, then that's only going to enhance the ability for the student to get credentials early. So if we can get faculty to teach classes on the front end that will satisfy their certificate program first, and then ultimately the D code or the A code in the latter part of the program, then that's just beneficial for everybody. And we've had a little bit of success with that. There's some resistance, but we're trying to work through that. Let's see what else. We've not made any policy changes as far as major stuff concerning running finish first. It just really fit well in with the way that we do things. And again, Dr. Wong and his entire team have been just wonderful in helping us to navigate through some of the challenges. So it's been a very small footprint as far as anything that it's a drastic change for us. It's really not been. It's been really smooth. About the only thing that is a little bit of a concern for us is that we don't fully, and any of you that work in the registrars or records office will understand what I'm talking about here, we don't fully trust eval 100%. So we always go back and manually check the eval to make sure that there aren't any false positives, like somebody just asked about, of where we're having to pull something from the front to the back. and manually adjust the eval. So that's really the only thing that that is still a bit of a worry for us. But really, 99% of the time, it's just really ran smooth and just been a really good product for us. So, Monty, I'm going to turn it back over to you for the lessons learned and the best practices.
Thanks, John. Okay, so for lessons learned about best practices, we would definitely recommend implementing the Finish First software program, and that you'd bring in probably several departments to review the data and process all the information, because like we said before, it can be overwhelming when you get to crunch time, close to reporting time, close to graduation time. We have a lot going on in records all the time pretty much, but those specific times are pretty heavy. So we've found that it's easier to do it as a group, and to also process students who've applied for graduation first, because once you've done that, you can kind of eliminate the other students who already show up as graduated and colleague. It leaves fewer to review and process from the software. We do plan to start using the near completer list as a way to identify students who should potentially complete within the next semester, so we can notify them that it's time to apply for graduation, because I know that sometimes when they're going through classes, they're not necessarily, sometimes they're just not aware or sure when they're supposed to be doing their graduation application. So we want to use this as a tool to reach out to them first, and then they can respond. Let's see. And John, did you want to take over some more of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I briefly mentioned about streamlining some of our programs. We had an initiative that we missed the time frame on to get it into CFNC. Whenever we're auto upload of applications through CFNC, so as most of you, again, that work in either a registrar's or records office knows, you get a tremendous amount of applications that someone picks, criminal justice, but they really don't want criminal justice. They want to go to UNC Charlotte in 2 years. So what we're planning on doing is we're hoping to streamline our programs of study into just categories. So do you want to go to work? Do you want to go to another college later? Do you want to get a certificate? Do you want to just enhance your knowledge? Those kind of things, so that we're not offering 75 C codes, 25 D codes, 50 A codes on the application for students to, just sort of scratch their head and not know what they're picking. So we're looking to streamline all of that, so that during the time of admissions, when an admissions counselor is talking to somebody, they can tell them, look, within X amount of time in this program, you'll earn a certificate. And if you stay with that program in another amount of time, you'll earn a degree. And in another amount of time, you'll earn an associate's or an associate's in applied science. So that's where the admissions and records and advising teams will all come together to try to present something to the student that makes good sense and is beneficial for them. We were a pilot school with Dr. Wong. My boss and I got a phone call one day and said, hey, Dr. Wong from Wake Tech's up here in Dr. Mackey's office. Can you come up here and let's look at this? And that was the beginning of it. And whenever I first saw it, I thought, oh my gosh, there's no way we can do this. I am not a computer code writer. Don't worry about that. That's not going to be your issue. Dr. Wong's figured all that out. It's the product has evolved over 2 years, and it is really it's really easy to use, and it's beneficial. Again, it's increased our graduation rates, because before my boss and I started, we did not identify graduates. The only way we graduated people is if you applied. So the first time we ran Dr. Wong's Finish First program, man, we graduated a ton of people, just a ton of people, because we never had identified any of those people before. So, the first time, if you're new to it, you're going to see a big increase. and then you'll see those numbers gradually level out to where that they're more in line with what you would expect going forward. So again, I can't say enough about how beneficial it's been to us at the college and how much it's helped us. So thanks to Dr. Long and his entire team for that. And that's it for me, Monty, if you've got anything else.
That's it for me. Thanks, John. Does anyone have any questions? And of course, you know, if there's anything that you think of down the line, I've given this presentation to Layla, so if anyone would like that, they can have it. They're more than welcome. And then we can send out our email addresses as well. Do we charge a graduation fee? Yes. So for certificates, it's $10. For degrees and diplomas, it's $25. And absolutely, we will do. Well, I'll type in our email addresses for you all in the chat bar. Any other questions?
And I'll just read some of the questions that came in earlier, just so everyone hears them in case you don't have the chat box open. So Michael said, do you ever find any false positive students who the Finish First and C program has identified, but when you do an audit check, it's incorrect? And so John answered in the beginning, yes, but not so much now. And can I ask John, do you think that was just because of the version update, or was there something that you guys did on your end that changed it?
No, that was the version update, Layla.
Version update, okay.
Right, exactly. Because, you know, it's and, you know, colleague is so complicated, and there's data that lives in so many different areas. And you know, it's not always easy to put data in the right place. So your software program can be correct, but if it's looking for data in a place that it's not necessarily living there, then that's where you could wind up with trouble. So fortunately for us, we have had a real intentional process of making sure that it's clean data going in, so that we get clean data coming out.
Mm-hmm. Another question, when you first identified completers, did you enter their graduation date as of the date they actually finished the requirements, potentially an earlier date, or when they were identified, a later date?
Right, it's whenever they were identified. We did not go back. So if someone had finished in 2017, we did not graduate them out of 2017. We went ahead and graduated them out of the term that we identified them.
And Barry Priest asks, do you charge $10 for each certificate earned, or $10 for the year, and they get printed copies of all they earned for the year?
It
right,
is
$10 for each
per
certificate earned, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there was another question earlier. Pat Jackson, asked, how often do you get a response from students? Do you find the contact information is primarily correct?
The response from students has been really good.
More than half.
Yeah, it's really good. Monty can attest to that. Monty, attest to the contact information.
Yeah, so normally, like I said, we send out an email saying, this is what you've earned. Would you like instructions on how to receive it? And then they'll email us back or call us. And I say we do get about 50 to 75% of those students requesting within that time period that we allow for to do the bulk submission. And then sometimes we get dwindlers. So, you know, maybe we send it out in January, and then in the fall, someone replies back to one from all the way back in January.
Other questions?
Layla, did you get the copy that I emailed out?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I can share that out. I can share the slide deck with folks in case they want to look through it and they might have other questions. And I see Laura dropped Laura's and John's email addresses in the chat box as well, if you want to reach out to them directly.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing, you guys. And if you have
Sure.
other questions for Laura and John, drop them in the chat box. So just to close out the webinar, I will send out, as a reminder, a 5-minute survey to get your feedback on the webinar. I know this was wonderful to see. We hope to have future college spotlights. I know so many of y'all are doing great things with Finish First NC. If that's something that y'all are interested in, or if you're interested in presenting what your college is doing, I know a lot of folks are interested in seeing other frameworks for how to use Finish First NC too. I'll also send out the recordings, and I will send out the data collection forms to be completed by November 13th. Kai, Jennifer, Belinda, any other announcements that you have on your end?
Layla, we have a question from Michael.
Okay.
Your workflow process, how involved was that? Time commitment?
I want to say that when Kelly starts running the Finish First software, from the time that she runs it to the time that I'm sending emails out to students, it's about 1 week to 2 weeks, maybe somewhere in there, John.
Right.
Yeah.
So because we're still a little bit antiquated, Kelly will run Dr. Wong's list. We'll identify those people. She'll get those over. We'll print out evals. We've got a little cover sheet that we look at to make sure that everything's checked off. The 2.0, all transcripts are there, no business office holds, things like that. And then I'm the one who presses the button. So I'm the one who is running, building the graduates file, doing any adjustments, and then running UACF and colleague. And then once I have done that, I shoot the list over to Monty, and Monty verifies that the program of study is correct. She will print the certificates, make the mailing labels, and she does the hard copy part of putting the process in the mail.
Right. So their process maybe somewhere within a week, and then once it comes to me, Michael, what I do typically is just send out a blind copy email to all of the students who are on the list. So that shoots out pretty quick. It's fairly quick. It takes me maybe an hour to set it up. And then once I'm getting emails back from students, we typically wait about 3 weeks. We push it out. We say, we're sending you this email on, say, the 1st of the month, and then 3 weeks later is when we're requesting you to send all of your paperwork in by and your payment in by. Once we have that, if we have 50 to 100, say, certificates and diplomas to print, if we've already have them somewhat generated, then I run them through Diplomas on Demand, and it's an upload. And if we've got the data in, I would typically say a day, 2 days maybe, to process and then print and label and shoot out in the mail.
Any other questions for Laura or John? Or any questions in general? Kai, did you have anything else?
No. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Laura and John, thank you once again for sharing this information with us. I think it's really helpful for us. And we will stick around. The Finish First NC team will stick around for a few minutes after we finish in case anyone has other questions. And I hope y'all have a really great Friday, great weekend. Enjoy this great weather. And we'll see you shortly. We'll see you later, rather.
Thank y'all.
Thank you,
Thank y'all so
John.
much.
Thank you, Dr. Wong.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.